These notes are on graphing functions on your graphing calculator, but when the function is in recursive form. So the example I'm going to use is I'm going to graph the function f of 0 equals 2, and then f of n equals f of n minus 1 plus 3. So turn on your calculator, mine is on. Now, normally when you press y equals, you're in the form of equations, of explicit equations. So I can't have this screen. I need a different screen. So in order to get that different screen, I press the mode button. This screen gives you many different options for a number of things, but the part of this that I'm most concerned about right now is the part that is highlighted function. So function is what we've called the explicit form of functions. However, I have these other forms possible, and the ones that I want are the sequence. Those are the ones that are representing the recursive form of functions. So I press enter on sequence, which now highlights the sequence. So I now am on step 4, where I'm going to press y equals. And now you'll notice that what I have here, this screen, doesn't look like the notation that we had for graphing the explicit form, because now it's set up for me to input the information in the recursive form. So step 5 says set n min, and what that means is to put the term number the sequence starts with. So for our sequence, our first term is term 0. So the calculator automatically fills that in as 0 each time. If you needed to change it, you would simply press the cursor up and press a different button. So pressing 2 would say I'm starting at term 2. But in this case, I am indeed starting at term 0. The next line says u of n, and that's where I'm putting in that function. So u of n is the same as my f of n here. They're just replacing the f with the letter u. You'll remember that I can write recursive form as f of n, g of n, h of n. It doesn't matter what letter I'm using, just as long as I'm consistent. So u of n, I need to put into the function f of n minus 1, or the u of n minus 1. So in order to put the u in, I need to press the alphabetical letter u. You'll notice on your calculator that there are the buttons you see, and then there are words written above the buttons in green or blue or yellow, depending upon your calculator. So I want to find the button that has the u. The letter u is above the 5 button. So in order to get, in my case, my letters are green. So in order to get that green, I have to first press the green button that says alpha. So alpha u means I now have the u function. Oh, excuse me. You'll notice I've made a mistake here. So you'll notice that this u in the equation that the calculator starts you with is a lowercase u, and this is an uppercase u. I need them to be the same. That's part of the consistency here. So I'm actually going to have to find that lowercase u. The lowercase u is actually in my other color, not my green, but my blue, and it's at the 7. Yours will be at the 7 also, it just may not be the same blue color, it could be a different color. So I'm going to press second 7, and that gives me my little u. I now need to fill in the part that says n minus 1. So I use my parentheses, that's what I have here, parentheses. In order to get the n is where the old x was, or still is x. But you'll notice it has these 4 different variables, and those 4 are for the various forms equations can be written in. So I'm going to press this to get my n. I need to say minus 1, and then I close my parentheses. And then I'm adding 3 each time. I now am at step 7. At step 7, I am needing to fill in the first term value. So our first term starts at term 0, but the value is 2. So I fill in 2 and I press enter. I now have filled in all the information I need for one recursive function. It's the blue one in my case. Yours may not have color depending upon the version of your calculator. So now I can press graph. And lo and behold, I get points that form a linear recursive function, which is what I would expect since the recursive function is a linear function plus 3. Now, again, playing with the window, maybe given that my graph is sort of much heavier in the first quadrant, it starts on the y-axis and then is in the first quadrant, maybe I kind of want to get rid of some of these x and y values that are negative. So I'm going to go to Window, and I am going to go down to the x min. And I'm going to say, you know what? I really don't need all of those negative values, so I'm just going to say -1. And then maybe I will change my x max. I'll leave my x max. Now my y min, my smallest y value is 2. That's what this f of 0 equals 2, and the adding piece means, is that I start at 2 and then I start adding 3 each time after that. So I don't really need -10, so maybe I'll say 0. However, my graph didn't actually show me that many points in my sequence, so I need a higher y max than just 10. So maybe I'll pick 25, and then I'll press graph. And now I've got a pretty good picture of this function. I can see here that this is my x-axis, and it starts at 0, and this is my y-axis. And now I can see many more points in the sequence than I could when it was set in the standard window.